Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I've got a new engine that I just picked up and I want to take it apart and see what I ended up with because I absolutely have no clue. I was building one of these engines, but it's been real difficult to find all the parts for them. And this particular engine is a 1980 Suzuki RM400. And if you watched my last video where I was putting inserts into the cylinder on a Suzuki RM400, that is one that I picked up that I was trying to get all the parts together to build an engine. Usually you just can't find these things, and I was having trouble finding several of the parts for it, and then all of a sudden one of these engines pops up, and I know I paid way too much money for it, but it's just so hard to find some of the parts. And as you can see, I was doing a lot to save the cylinder that I did find. We're just lucky on these bikes that those Mako pistons will work, and they will go way beyond the bore of standard, what you could get standard oversized pistons for the Suzuki. I think it was just half millimeter and millimeter for or from Suzuki, and with the Mako pistons you can get I can't remember what they are. They may be I think they may be 81 millimeter. I'm sure somebody out there knows for sure, but at least we can use up to an 84 millimeter for the 440 Mako to fit the Suzuki. This is the long stroke engine. They only made it 2 years, 79 and 80. I actually had a 79 and I sold it about 15 years ago, and have been kicking myself in the butt ever since I did it. I love that. I love the bike. It was very fast, lots of torque, and I used it more for a cow trailer than anything. It was just a fabulous motorcycle, and like I say, I've just been kicking myself since. So I've been trying to build one. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm building a RM250. I haven't had it in here for a while because I've been trying to get some of these other projects either completed, or I had a lot of customer stuff in here I needed to get done. But it's I think the title of the series was RM in a Box. Well, now we've got another one that's another RM in a box. So this one, that one was an RM250 in a box. This will be RM400 in a box. It's just me trying to find everything, whether it's on eBay, out of the salvage yard, from private sales, whatever I can do. I'm pretty much willing to do it. To put together one of these bikes. And it doesn't have to be concourse or anything like that. I just want the bike. I want it working. I want it if it doesn't have the right fenders or something like that on it, I don't care. I'll try to do that. That stuff's pretty readily available. But anyhow, we've got the two RMs in a box now. And the problem, I probably would have just bought another bike, but they all are so far away from me, and although the price may be worth it, by the time I tack on the shipping charges, it's just way out of sight. If I'm in Montana. If I get one out of Southern California or Southern Florida or something like that, it's very easily tacked $200 to $2,500 or more onto the price of the bike. So this is how I've decided to do it. I've been keeping track of all the parts for the RM250 in a box, and I think at this point I'm just barely cracking 1,000. So I'd like to be able to be as successful putting it together, or putting this one together, as that one. But anyhow, hey, let's take a look at this thing. We're going to start to tear down. We're just going to give it a good once over, start to tear down, and see what I actually ended up with. Whether it's a turd or whether it's a gem, you know what I mean? Thanks guys, don't forget the thumbs up. It's complete without a carburetor, but I have found a carburetor, and I do have a expansion chamber. But there's some of the parts that are just really difficult to find. These cases are very hard, and oh, they're just any number of things really, but the case is one of them. If you look here, it's kind of damaged there, but it's still holding. You know, they just were so fragile, in my opinion. Of course, the one that I had, that I sold, was in almost perfect condition because it had only been dropped once, I think, and all that did was a little scratch on the front fender. And I've tried to find it around here, and I cannot find it. Let me roll it around here and so you can kind of see the bottom. I'm not seeing any breaks in the cases. I just drained the oil out of it. And it's got a leak here, but I think this is just a seal maybe. Oh no, it's coming out of the vent tube right there. Usually they end up with a break over here from the Kickstarter. You can see there, let me see if I can get you down there. You can see a broke off bolt here in the Kickstarter, so we'll have to be getting that out. We'll wait till we take it apart to mess with that, where we can set it up in the milling machine. Okay, you can see the piston up there. I see, you probably can't see the ring. Let me get the plug out and get the side cover off, and we'll turn it over. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. A little surface rust. I did notice well, you can see it right here. A little, looks like it was hit. So it's got a little break there. I think maybe you can see it. If it's not too bright. Right here. So that's pretty easy to fix. Okay, let's see what we can see here. There's a piston and one ringer. Let me see if I can get you up a little closer. So we got a little, yeah, just normal stuff, I guess. Probably could use a ring. But it looks okay in there, turns over easy enough. Okay, we've got our ignition in there. I think I've got everything. I should be able to check that. Let's let's see. When I got a couple coils a couple years ago from Kevin Bergeron. He had a couple of them I talked him out of, and the other one I used on the RM250. So let's see here. I need a ground. So let's see if this one's any good to use on this one. We'll have to ground it. I'll just ground right there and then down here to a bolt. And this isn't going to want to touch real good, so I'll take another one and we'll ground it right here and back down here to the same bolt. And like I said, I've been putting parts together, so I do have a ignition box for it. This is self-explanatory. We got a 3-prong one and a 2-prong one going to the coil, and this last one would be the kill button, of course. Okay, so let me get you around here and we'll see what we got. Okay, I think we're all set up here. Get my drill, and let's see if we can get you a little closer here. See what we got. Oh yeah. It's kind of jumping. Let me go a little slower. I can see it through the camera, so I think you can. Hope so. Sometimes the camera's kind of tricky. Looks good to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop her head here. Get my ratchet or my little impact. Takes this stuff off a lot quicker. I don't really like breaking them loose with it, but I think we've got them all loose. I haven't got them all off, but I've got them loose. Yeah. Okay. I'm not seeing any markings. I'm just seeing an arrow. Got a little carbon buildup. Let's just take a measurement with a caliper and see where we're at maybe. Oh boy. I'm starting to get excited now. That's stock. 80 millimeter. So that's a standard bore. Yep. I believe it is. Now I'm not feeling so bad I spent that kind of money for this. But we don't want to be too premature about that. You know, we might have something out to lunch, but I'm not seeing anything there. Let's see if this gasket will come up. Yep. All right. Everything's looking all right so far. So let me get these cylinder studs loose and we'll see what we got from there. Okay, I think I got them all loose. Let me get them off. Another thing I'm noticing here is these studs have never been touched unless they took them out like I do. I take them out with double nuts, and most people use a stud puller on them and screw them all up. The stud puller puts marks in them along here, and it usually causes it difficulty putting the head back on. But these have never been touched. I don't think the head's even been off this bike. I am really happy about that. Like I say, now maybe it's kind of worth the money I paid. All right, let's see if we can pop this thing off. Yeah. I'm going to push this down so I don't pull it so far. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of rust in the cylinder at the bottom. I'll show you that here in just a minute. Oops, we don't want to set it on the reed valve. Yeah, good oil down inside. Yeah, it's all looking pretty good so far. And I'm just seeing, looks like oil, and I think it's just oil. Maybe some little bit of rust down the bottom there. Not sure if you can see down in the hole or not. Let's go ahead and get our stator off. Well, it's very nice. We have spark and we have a standard bore. Let's see here. I have to get a screwdriver to get in there. A little oil down there, maybe the seal's leaking. Not sure. We'll get it all cleaned up. Looks good. You get set up to try to pull the arm or the rotor. Okay. I think I've got a puller for those. Let me check. Okay, they really use tiny bolts on these. These are 4mm. I've put a little Kroll oil on the shaft there. And flip this up this way. Oops. Got the wrong thing up there. Here we go. This is just one I made. Kind of overkill probably. I just don't know where those bolts, those little tiny bolts will hold it. Yep, it did. All right. So that's how she comes off. There's a special tool that Suzuki made with a slide hammer, and I just have, I've got a slide hammer, but you need this piece here to do it. Just curious how the bolts, they're coming out good, and they look okay, but I was only in there about a ½ inch or so. But this is the piece that you need. I think this was for a YZ, but it fits many things. And these 3 holes, closest holes to the center, fit the RM rotor. Okay, looks like that wasn't where the oil was coming from. The seal looks dry. So I'd say just some oil got inside. I'm not seeing any breaks or cracks or anything. This is, I think, the Kroll oil that ran down this. It looks good so far. Let's see if we can get a keeper out here. Okay. Let's see if the pan will come out. I think it's going to be a little stubborn, maybe. Yeah, looks like I'm going to have to get the puller. Let me get set up. Looks like it's pulling. It's not terrible tight, but it just doesn't want to come out by pulling it. Looks like it's going through. Yep, it went through the bearing fine. There's the pin. The piston. Just a little blow by, nothing terrible. That's real good for a one-ring piston. And everything looks nice and oily there. Okay. Sorry for the wiggle. Rod looks good from what I can see. Come on, focus. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's kind of hard to get the camera in there, guys. Okay, here's the cylinder we were looking at. A little rust down here on the intake side, just a little bit. Looks good on the other side. I don't know why that was, probably just the way it was setting or something, I don't know. But that's not an issue, that'll hone out. But I don't know whether we're going to we'll measure it up. You know, it could be it's just a very low hour machine. We'll measure it up and see. I'm just happy it's a standard bore. I don't know, boy, I just can't seem to get the right light on this stuff. Go ahead and get this sprocket off. I think they've got it double bent, yeah. Alright. It was loose, but it didn't want to come off by hand. There we go. Got a bunch of crud in it there. Alright. So let's see if I can get that spacer out. Yeah, all right. So now I believe we're done over here. So we'll pop this thing. Okay, looks like I kind of spoke too soon a while ago. I've got a big crack right here. I don't think this is leaking, but that there I'm sure is. So I guess I'll be doing some welding. I'm not very good at this magnesium stuff, but I can get her done. These darn dowel pins really cause havoc with these. Get that thing out of there so I can get my finger in there. I think I've got it broke loose. Yeah, I do. Yeah. And gasket's holding me up too. All right. Yeah. You can see. At least it's not chunks broke out. That's easier to weld this way. Just kind of tap it back out a little bit and then weld it up. May have to do it both sides. I tell you, I think that I'm right in saying that this engine has not been apart anywhere except maybe the mag cover. This all looks, these screws had never been apart, and like I say, we're at standard bore and it's almost standard size. I was really surprised when I measured it up. I think I can get by with just re-ringing the standard piston, but you can't find the dadgum rings. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Stuff's out there. All right, let me get my impact here and we'll get started on this. I think whoever owned this bike, I wished I had the rest of it. I believe they were very easy rider. You know, they didn't overdo the bike. Kind of hard to overdo one of these anyway, but you know, took care of it and didn't ride it terrible. Like I say, I kind of wished I had the rest of the bike from what I can see here. Okay, looks like the clutch is stuck. Yeah, there's absolutely no wear in this clutch basket. I'm feeling a lot better about the money I paid for this. See, this has never been turned over. It is loose. You can see that the let me see if I can get you a little closer. Right here. You can see it's turned over, but it's slipped. So on the washer here, it was bent over. This side over here is in good shape, but this in here looks like it was about ready to turn loose. But there's just absolutely no wear in the basket. So another plus. Yeah, that was certainly loose. May have just not been bent over and locked properly at the factory. This is amazing. Okay, we've got one, look at that, almost no wear in that washer. Yep, that's pretty nice. I don't know what all that is. Kind of some grease or something, looks like. Let's see, I don't see an L on this nut. Trying to keep up with you here on the camera. I probably should have took that loose before I pulled the clutch out. Usually Suzuki puts an L on these if they're left hand. Let's see if this will go the right way here. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of acting like maybe it is though. Yep, it's left-handed. Maybe it's on the side. Nope. Okay, when they don't go right away, check it out the other way. I just wasn't getting with it too much until I knew for sure. Usually they are. Some of the 125s I've run into were not though. Okay, we've got a key in here too. Yeah, like these Suzukis, you can change the seal out without splitting the case. All right, let me check things out here and see where we need to go. Okay, we've got a rod right here, and our shifter looks like that can come out. Must be bent a little bit. Yeah. I'll put it in the lathe and, oh yeah, you can see it. Now, why wouldn't it be? Surely it's been dropped in 50 years, huh? Okay, I think we're done here. Need to turn it over and take the screws out from the other side. Then I think maybe we can take these out. I don't think I want to do it yet. Okay, to get my pan, I think we're going to lose some more oil. Yep. Sure is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start taking the the screws out here. Once it's done, I've probably just about got to get it out of the holder here and get it up on the bench so we can split it. I think we've got them all loose here. Looks like all the crank seals were tight, at least right now. I'm sure after you started, you know, if you had started it up again, they wouldn't have been. I had the clutch ball and another shaft drop out of there, so anybody that was looking for those, we got them. And we'll go ahead and loosen these up. And we'll probably just leave those in until we get it up on the bench. So I think that's where I'm at now. We'll take it out of the stand and get it up there. Okay, we've got the hold downs out, and we'll squeeze our paws together and bring this piece out in one piece. Okay, so I think we're good here. Okay, I've got the puller on here. Well, I heard it pop. Yep, got a little crack here. It's coming right up, really pretty easy. Easier, I believe, than the 250 did. Okay. Okay, that's pretty much done. And again, when you're dealing with these crankshafts, let me show you what I've done. I had high pressure lube on the end, and it went very easily actually. But this this is pushing on the flat, the outside of this crankshaft, not in the middle. This middle piece, all it does is center it. See, it doesn't even, let me get you over here on the other side. As you can see here, there's play in here. So that's not tight, so I'm not damaging the center in any way. That's what you want to look for. You don't want a huge automotive type puller. Even though this is a harmonic balancer puller here, this piece is off of a different puller, and that fits that right just fine, and all your pressure is out here on the outside and on the outside here. So we're not flaring the end of the crankshaft. All right. Looking good in here. Her bearing seems to be good. And we may need to do a little working on our seal area there, but it may, I hope it comes out okay. You don't pick these crankshafts up just every day either, so you know, if there's something wrong with it, we'll have to fix it. But I bet you that we can probably get it to clean up. Another thing on these are not primary kick, so you've got to be in neutral to start them. That's the way I remember it anyway. Well, everything looks really nice. I don't think this bike was used much, and when it was used used very gently. And these, yeah, they come out pretty easily usually. We've got an O-ring right here, and it's going to go in the, now this can go either way on this one. You got the recess that goes up against that to seal it. Just a bunch of goo in there, it looks like. And we had an O-ring here also. All that stuff's got to be in there, you'll have leaks. Shift forks. Looks good. Don't see any excessive wear. Again, I think this is very low hours. Got a washer here on the clutch side, right here. I can't get it stuck with oil. So that goes that way. Same thing there. Everything looks good. the drum. And we'll just see if we can get our, these are kind of cantankerous sometimes. They want to kind of get all whoppy-jawed in there. See how it wants to, I've got it pulled up over on this side. There, I think it's, there, okay. Now, go in here and pull that spring. You want to be careful with these, because if you try to open them up too far, you'll mess them up. And let's see if we can get that. Like that. And then we should be able to just pull the out of there. Here we go. All right. Got a big washer there. And I've still got the keeper on this side. It should slide, continue to slide up the shaft. Just like that. So there's your keeper. And everything there, so. And that one actually goes on the other side, right there. Okay, so I think we've got a bare case here as far as we need to go. And you know, this has very slight amount of residue in the bottom of it too. Not like so many of them. You know, there's some, but actually that looks like, you know, not all that much in the scheme of things. Thanks, guys. Don't forget the thumbs up. Okay, I just want to go through the bore real quick. We'll do all the final measurements and everything when we get ready to bore this thing, or whatever we're going to do to it. But I went ahead and set my dial bore gauge up at 80 millimeters, which is 3.150. And I'm just going to go through here real quick. See, we're actually 1/10,000 smaller than that there. And get down here. And we're about 9/10,000ths right there. And on the bottom, again, let's see, it's about 8/10,000ths. And then if we go 90 degrees, there's nope. Oh, that's where the rust is, so it's showing a little bit over, about 2/10,000ths. That's where this little rust patch is right here. I honed it out pretty good, but there's still some there. Let me slide down a little further. Okay, that makes more sense. We're at about 3/10,000ths. Three 3/10,000ths. So the worst we had there was 8/10,000ths out around, or out of the 80 millimeter, or the 3.150. So It tells us to measure our piston at 1 inch above. That's where we're at right here. And our clearances are, we can have, the limit on our clearance is almost 5. It's 0.0047. And, you know, ultimately they want it between 2 8/10,000ths and 3 1/10,000ths. So I think we're going to be okay in there. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, standard pistons are pretty cheap. I think I got one coming for 35 bucks. So if we can gain 1,000ths on that, that'll put us right in the park. And the problem seems to be finding the rings, but I'll keep after that and see if I can find one. We can go ahead and bore it, but I really would rather, you know, if it'll still run and run okay and not make a lot of noise at our standard, that's where I'm going to keep it as long as we're in specs. But we'll get into that more in depth when we get ready to bore it. But at this point, I'm just going to grab another piston for 35 bucks. It's not a big deal. And that way we'll know exactly how much wear from this one to the new one. Okay guys, there you have it. Disassembly of the 1980 RM400. This, like I said before, is a long stroke, the 83 millimeter stroke. A lot of torque on these bikes. And I can't remember, I think they were they 80 before? I can't remember. It's the 80 millimeter bore, and in this case 83 millimeter stroke. From what I understand, the PEs and everything they're completely different engines. They didn't make a PE from this engine. This was an RM engine only. But from what we found, the clutch basket, almost nowhere on that. We're at a standard bore on the cylinder, and it looks like I'll be able to just put a standard piston and rings back in it. We'll go ahead and go through the transmission and clean up everything, of course, and just kind of go through it slowly and methodically and make sure everything is on the up and up. And we'll do that before we put it back together. And actually the crankshaft looks like, you know, you could probably just throw it back together. I'm going to think about that a little bit before I do it. I did go over and put the crankshaft in the lathe and turned it with some sandpaper, crocus cloth, down on the sealing surface, and it looks like it's going to be okay. But those things are hard to find, so if we need to do anything, we'll go ahead and fix it. You know, if something's out of bounds, then we'll go ahead and fix it, because there just aren't any of them out there. So how many times have I said I'm happy about that? I am happy about what we found. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.